everyone. Today I am going to read a book called What's the Difference by Vanessa Rhodes. Now, do you think that this is fiction or nonfiction? Take a look at it. Here we see a photograph of two different kinds of animals. Do you know what they are? This is a toad, this is a frog. And since the title is What's the Difference, I think this is going to be a nonfiction book that is going to teach us about maybe different kinds of animals, but it could be just other things that might be different. So I think we're going to be doing a lot of comparing and contrasting. So let's open up the book, and here we see our table of contents. So we see butterfly or moth, frog or toad, crocodile or alligator. Do you notice the theme here? These are all animals that we are going to compare and contrast. Cheetah or leopard, monkey or ape, bee or wasp, and then don't be fooled, the glossary and the index. Now, table of contents is an important text feature because it tells us what we are going to be learning about. And then at the end, we'll take a look at the glossary and the index as well, because those are also important text features. What's the difference? Butterfly or moth? This page tells us about the butterfly. This page tells us about the moth. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see clearly, but this has lots of text features that give us lots of really good information. So here we have some labels, and they're labeling the parts of the butterfly. Same here. Some more labels for the moth, and then we have a text box which gives us extra information. So I am going to read about butterflies first and then about moths. Butterfly. Butterflies fly by day. Their feelers have knobs. They rest with their wings closed. And then we see the labels say wings closed, and then it points to their feelers and their tongue, and this is their tongue curled up, and it labels butterflies, so we know that that's a butterfly. So take a look at that. Okay, now let's take a look at the moth. Moths fly at night. Their feelers are feathery. They rest with their wings open, and you can see that here. Here are their feathery feelers, and their wings are open. So what is the same about butterflies and moths? They can both curl up their tongue, they both drink nectar from flowers, and they are both insects. Now, nectar is like the juice that butterflies and moths and bees and all of those different kinds of creatures love to get from flowers. Now we have, just like the cover, frog and toad. What's the difference, frog or toad? So let's take a look at the frog first. Now, not all frogs look like this. This one is a tree frog from the rainforest. We can see them in the country of Costa Rica. But the frog, like on the cover right here, is a different kind of frog. This is a kind of frog that you might find in an Ohio pond. So frog. Most frogs have wet skin. It is smooth. They have long back legs. So if you were to catch a frog, their skin would feel kind of slimy and wet. And here's the tongue of a frog. Let you look at that one more time. And then this is a toad. Now, toads live around here, and I will let you know that when I was a kid, finding toads was one of my favorite hobbies. I really, really loved being outside and exploring and looking under rocks and looking under logs and finding different creatures, and toads were some of my favorites to find. So here's a toad. Most toads have dry skin. It is bumpy. They have short back legs. And here you go. Here's the toad again. Now, toads are easy to catch because frogs are fast, but toads are slow. What's the same? They both have a long, sticky tongue for catching food. They are both amphibians, and I know you have all learned about different kinds of animals. An amphibian It's a cold-blooded animal that most of them lay eggs, right? And so it says they use their tongue for catching food. What kind of food do you think frogs and toads eat? Bugs. Yeah. Here is a crocodile and an alligator. What's the difference, crocodile or alligator? Crocodiles have a narrow, pointed snout. Now, what does narrow mean? It means like skinny and long, right? Their upper and lower teeth stick out of their jaws. Crocodiles are a light tan color. And so let's take a look at the crocodile here. And it shows its long, narrow snout. And because its snout is long and narrow, its teeth can't fit in its mouth. So its teeth have to stick out. Then we see its teeth, its snout, its eyes. And then here's the alligator. Alligators have a short, wide snout. So instead of being long and narrow, it is short and wide. Their bottom teeth fit into holes into their upper jaw. Alligators are grayish black in color. And here's their snout and their teeth. And you can see that their teeth fit more nicely into their mouth because their mouth is wider. What's the same? They both have eyes on top of their head, and they are both reptiles. Now here is another type of animal, reptiles. Reptiles are also cold-blooded, just like amphibians. What's the difference, cheetah or leopard? Cheetah. Cheetahs have black lines from their eyes called tear lines. They have solid black spots on their coat. They hunt by day. They can run fast. Now I wonder why those lines are called tear lines. Take a look at the picture. What do you think? If you were to cry, your tears kind of fall down your face like that, right? So I think that's probably why these lines are called tear lines, because they look like tears, or they look like if you were crying a lot, that's where your tears would fall. And then we have our labels, tear lines, and the cheetah's coat. So you can see the cheetah's coat up close, and it is very beautiful, I think. Leopard. Leopards do not have tear lines. Leopards have black rings on their coat. They hunt by night. They are good climbers. And here is a leopard's coat. So a leopard's coat is a little bit different. What's the same? They both hunt and eat other animals. They are predators. They are both big cats. Now, what is a predator? Remember, a predator is an animal that eats other animals. What are those animals called? Good, prey. What's the difference, monkey or ape? Monkey. Monkeys are tree lovers. They run along branches on all fours. Some monkeys swing by their long tail. And we see monkeys and then the monkey's tail that it is using to swing. And then this is an ape. In trees, apes swing from the branches by their strong arms. Apes do not have a tail at all. Interesting. So if you ever go to the zoo and you think you're watching monkeys swing from the trees, make sure and check if it has a tail. If it doesn't have a tail, it's not a monkey. So what's the same? Both animals live in groups. They are both primates. Now, primates are another group of animal. Primates are warm-blooded. Bee and wasp. Now, this is one that I know I talked about in at least one of my groups because this is kind of confusing for some people. What is the difference between a bee and a wasp? Bees have a short, wide body. Bees can sting only once. Then they die. Bees make honey, and this is a bee's nest right here, and you can see lots and lots and lots of bees in that bee nest. A wasp. Wasps have a long, thin body. What am I doing? I'm going back and fixing my mistakes, right? Very important. They can sting many times. Wasps do not make honey. Okay, and here is the wasp for you. So, what is the same? Bees and wasps build nests. They live in large groups. They are both insects. Now, I will tell you that using my schema, I know that this is not 100% correct because some wasps are actually solitary, meaning they live by themselves. So it depends on the kind of wasp. Now, which one is more aggressive? Wasps are more aggressive, which means they are more likely to sting you. Bees are actually not very aggressive. So if you see one of these flying along flower to flower, you don't need to be scared because they're actually very good for us. They make honey and they help the flowers and the plants to grow. Now, wasps are also helpful, but you want to make sure you stay away from them, especially because they are more likely to sting you. But wasps are helpful because they actually eat a lot of bugs that are harmful to plants. So for instance, I have a garden in the summer and I grow vegetables, and sometimes I'll get bugs and caterpillars and things on my vegetables that like to eat them. And of course I don't like that, but wasps do an important job, a lot of them, and they will, they have babies basically that eat those bugs. So they are also important to our ecosystem or to our environment. Don't be fooled. A spider may look like an insect, but look closer. So what is the difference between an insect and a spider? An insects have 6 legs. Their body has 3 parts. Insects have feelers. They also have wings. And this shows the different parts of an insect. We see the feelers, the head, the wing case, the thorax, and the abdomen. How many legs does an insect have? Most insects have 6 legs, right? And here we see some beetle eggs in this picture. Now over here we see a spider. Does anyone know what kind of spider that is? That is a black widow, and they are poisonous. So if you see one of those, don't go near it. Spiders have 8 legs. Their body has only 2 parts. Spiders do not have feelers or wings. And the spiders have an abdomen and a head. So an abdomen, if you were to think of a human, an abdomen's kind of like a stomach. It's the middle of your body. So what's the same? Their young hatch from eggs. And again, we see the beetle eggs here. There is no picture of spider eggs, but spiders also lay eggs. And then last, we have our glossary and our index. Now our glossary tells us what important words mean. So we have abdomen, amphibian, nectar, predator, primate, reptile, and thorax. And so if there were any of those words that you don't know what they mean, you can read about them in the glossary. The index just tells us what pages these subjects are on. So feelers, skins, spots, stings, tails, teeth, and tongues. If you want to know more about those, you just go to those pages. So as we finish this book, what can we say this book was about? How can we summarize it? What do you think? So this is how I would summarize it. I would say this book is about the differences and the similarities between lots of different kinds of animals, and that animals are the same and different in many ways. Can you think of any other animals that you can compare? If you have paper at home, that's what I would like you to do. I would like you to think about 2 different animals that you can compare, 2 animals that were not in this book. So maybe 2 different kinds of birds, or maybe, oh, you know what would be a good one? A bat and a bird. But you don't have to do that one. You could compare a snake and a lizard. There are lots of different things that you can compare. So I want you to think about 2 and compare. How are they the same? How are they different? Okay, bye.